So we did it. All of us completed our quest. I feel really, really incredibly proud of myself and of these guys for doing that. It's such a huge experience. So the night before we went out, I was really worried. Like the whole thing was going to be a huge challenge, which it was, but not really in the way that I thought it would be. That sense of being worried and nervous disappeared as we went out on Wednesday morning and didn't really come back. So for the first day, I spent the whole of it from walking out here to my camp, building my shelter. The second day, I spent the whole day trying to make fire from dawn until just as the sun was going down. I was fine for hours and hours. I tried and didn't get there. And then later on in the evening, Thomas suggested pairing up with Marco, who was camped just further down in the woods to me. And he said yes, and it took a couple of attempts, but finally we got fire, and it was such a relief. It was such a wonderful moment. I blew it into life with my tinder bundle that I'd been looking at all day, and it was dark by the time we got fire, and I just felt so relieved. Such a great feeling. And really lovely to do it with somebody. The next day I could get on with rock boiling and knew that I'd have enough water and be able to purify enough water to see me through to the end. On one morning, I had a failed attempt at rock boiling in the evening and thought, I'll just do it in the morning. And the night was so long. It was really, really windy. The wind was just howling into my fire and blowing it like a bellows, and it was getting through the woods so fast. I hardly slept. I woke up the next morning so thirsty, and I really realised in that moment how precious water is. Never wanted it so much. I managed to collect some in my bowl from the rain, which was the most delicious drink ever. Yeah, I really felt in that time how much I need the planet, how much I need the earth to survive, how totally reliant and dependent on it I am. The food as well, the abundance of food. Obviously everything was quite small, but there was lots of it around, and it was everywhere. I really enjoyed collecting it. Most of the time when I went on a task, if it was to collect wood or to find rocks, I'd take my basket with me so I could just collect as I went. So on the third day, once I'd established my camp and I had a shelter built and I had the fire going, I had a really lovely day. I felt like I had a lot of space to just be. I just really enjoyed being in my little camp in the woods. I went in the bog past the top of my boots as well. My boots just totally filled with muddy water, and it wasn't a problem. It was fine. And I went down to the river and I washed everything out and hung them by my fire, which was such a different mindset to the night before we went out, when I'd fallen in the river and I had soggy boots and soggy socks, and I was worried about it. I was worried about what 4 days would be like with wet boots and wet socks, and it turns out it didn't matter at all. I realised how important community is to me out there, how much I value people. I had a visit from Chris on the last day. He came with a big log of wood for my fire and just sat and we talked. And I was telling him my story about being really thirsty in the morning, and he offered to take me up to his camp and give me a cup of water. He whittled these really lovely cups. I hadn't had a cup. I'd been drinking out of a plastic bag. And my water was very brown and his apparently was really clear. So I went with him. We got there and the water was so delicious, and it was such a lovely gift to share with somebody. He gave me 2 cups, not just one, he gave me 2. And I felt so grateful. It's the greatest gift. I really, really needed it, and walking back down after that I felt so revived. So at the end, Thomas blew the conch to call us back. As I walked in, there were 2 huge, bright rainbows arcing over camp, like a gateway, like a welcome home. It was so lovely, so nice. A really magical moment to come back to. It really marked the ending of the journey. And I turned around and I could see everyone just making their way Another thing that I really, really enjoyed, hot rocks in my bed. So I'd heat rocks in the fire and put them at the end of my bed so I could put my feet on them, and I'd maybe put a couple under my armpits or hold them in my hands when it was really cold, and it was so nice. It's like nature's hot water bottle. I also had some really lovely nights as well with the moon shining so bright and the stars out, just sleeping outside next to the fire in my blankets. Really enjoyed I'm saying all these things that I really enjoyed, but also it was really hard, and there were times that was so difficult. It's probably the most challenging thing that I've ever done, and I think the things that I've learnt from it are only just starting to unfold, and I'm only just starting to recognise what happened out there, really, or what's changed in me and what's moved in me after doing something like that. And so much gratitude for so many things. Just being able to pour myself a glass of water, such luxury. Yeah, I think I'm going to spend the next few days just in absolute gratitude. I feel so lucky to have been part of this year course. It's been really incredible. I've learnt so much about the world, about people, about nature, and I think it culminating in this. I don't think this is the end of the course. This is definitely the beginning of something much bigger, just a rite of passage.
So, I'm back. What have I learned? Well, yeah, one of the main things that comes out of it is that I can talk about things, I can read things, I can learn things from other people, but it's only experiences which really bring the lessons, and preferably long, hard experiences, ordeals maybe even. This has been described as a rite of passage, these 4 days, and I guess that's right. A case of bringing the skills that I have and the work I've done to date, in whatever stage that is, it doesn't matter, and joining that with the unknown and with what nature brings to the experience, putting them together and seeing how that works. The experience has been very, very profound. The experience has been profound. It was 4 days of otherness in a state which I wouldn't normally, which I don't have, I can't have at home. It was a full journey, separation, ordeal, return, just like Joseph Campbell talks about. It was absolutely that. Solitude in a human sense, but not solitude in terms of that feeling. I felt a great sense of belonging in living off the land and with the land in that way. I had relationships with all sorts of things, not in a human to human way, which is obviously a crazy idea and something that would never work, but in a human to tree, in a human to rock, in a human to land, sky, weather way, a relationship, an active, conscious relationship, rather than a set of chaotic random events or anything like that. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what those 4 days were. Just don't get chances to experience it in that way and learn the wisdom behind that. So this was it was wonderful. It was difficult. It had to be difficult, and I tried to make it. I tried to, in the control that I did have over the design, I wanted to make it as more difficult, as in like no watches, no light, not bringing any food, not bringing any water. It's on that edge where I really learn, and I did take a a while for it to process, I suppose, but it's certainly brought out an understanding of my strength, resourcefulness, fortitude, creativity, of my awareness, and my connectedness. In a really non-hippie way, I mean that. To actually understand that, when it's boiled down to the primal basics, it's a very primal experience. Just how this interrelation works. Being part of that, being utterly reliant on the place I was in, and therefore inevitably feeling grateful to the place and feeling part of the place and having a relationship with the place. Of course, that's what happens. It's what happens with people. It's what happens with other things as well. And I can describe that in spiritual ways or in practical ways. It's all those things, and it's far from any SAS-ness or hippiness or New Age-ness, or it's just natural. I felt very human, very revealing experience. It's a very healing experience. It opens up a door of understanding and a door of opportunity as well, I'm sure. Just for an opportunity, I mean for walking through life in a more sacred way. Walking through life, I could say differently, just in a more purposeful way. I would not just recommend this sort of experience or an experience like this. I would say that it's an essential part of developing into a fully rounded whole human being. Without it, I don't think it's possible. How could it be? Otherwise it's too insulated, too comfortable, too distanced from the realities and necessities of life to be able to create enough experience to properly respect life, value life, and cultivate gratitude in an unmanufactured way, in a gratitude in a way that is not expected or educated into me, but gratitude that naturally bubbles to the surface when I am reliant on other things for my own safety and survival, and also can say the same for many other things, connectedness. Another hugely misunderstood word by me, very prone to New Age interpretations and sort of armchair practice. This is real.
Well, here we are at the end of the quest. An absolutely fantastic experience. Still digesting a lot of what went on, but I'm really happy with kind of how it went and doing the solo experience. It was really good. Many different things, and kind of spending that time using the skills that we'd learned all over the last year. It was incredible how a lot of them just jumped up to surprise you and sort of jumped in at the right time. Kind of how spirit worked during the exercise. It was just as exciting as I kind of expected and more. What an experience! What an absolute experience! Many different things, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And the whole year, everyone else in the group has been fantastic. And can just let that all sink in and see where it takes me.
yeah, I feel quite humbled by the last few days. It was a beautiful experience, but it was quite tough. Left my fire burning and went off to get some water to boil up, and came back and my hut was on fire. The wind had changed direction, I think, and when I left I looked at the my Gore-Tex jacket in the doorway, and I thought, there was a little voice in my head going, not a good idea to leave it there. And yeah, came back, and the whole place, not the whole place, but the roof was on fire. So luckily I had just brought the water back, so whoosh, put it out, sort of stamped out the rest. And then I thought, for a minute, I thought that was it, because my blanket had a big hole in it. The roof had a big hole in it. The porch was destroyed. And yeah, for a second I thought that was it. But then, after looking at it a bit more closely, I could see that it was repairable. It wasn't that bad. It's quite a good lesson in things aren't as bad as they look. Got in bed, I had a lovely night's sleep, and everything was fine. So it's a good lesson in making the most of things. Gone through the full range of emotions, I think, over the last 4 days, and really doing it on your own. You really, there's no one else there. It's just you and yourself, and you really learn a lot. See things which are microcosms of how you are in life. It was amazing getting the fire going. I loved building the hut on the first day. Really being in the flow, feeling like alpha. I was in my shorts and t-shirt in October, and everything was just turning up as I needed it. I was just asking for a Y-shaped stick, and there was a Y-shaped stick. It was like being 6 again. And making the fire the next day, that was a beautiful moment. Chloe and I joined forces, and yeah, to see that coal going, because the drinking water hinged on it, so because we had to boil the river water, so that was a really, I don't want to say empowering, but it was empowering in a way. It was just a wonderful feeling, and a real primal connection to our ancestors. Not as much opportunity for reflection as I thought I'd have, because it's just been sort of pretty much full on doing things, but definitely learning. The whole experience of life is affected by your outlook. So the more you struggle, the more things are going to be hard, and the more you're just in the flow and just doing things in a natural way, sort of calmly but quickly, then the easier it is. Then you just become part of your surroundings in a way, rather than this relentless machine.